Warning: this program may contain visuals that might offend sensitive viewers. Parental guidance is advised.
The scare of the fourth wave of the coronavirus expected on our shows later this year has created panic. Desperate to remain afloat, some people have turned to ivermectin, or a wonder drug, as they call it.
If you're sick and desperate, you will take anything.
Some are using the liquid formula meant to kill parasites in animals.
We have 6 more. So this is basically for a patient that's 100 kgs. There is, this is going to last for 3 days. So they take 2 mils every 24 hours.
So here goes again.
It's not an animal product. It was designed initially for human beings.
Our investigation began in Cape Town, in the Western Cape. We met 27-year-old Kotha Davids, who contracted the coronavirus in December last year. While in self-isolation, she says her symptoms, which included headaches and shortness of breath, worsened.
And that's when I went to the hospital. They did an X-ray. They said, Ms. Davids, you have COVID pneumonia, you have COVID on your lungs. They put me immediately on a drip. However, as the days prolonged, the first thing they did when I woke up the Sunday morning was give me oxygen.
She says she also had blood drawn regularly to monitor her condition.
Wow. This was a hormone that was shot in my stomach. This is to avoid blood clots in my body.
Did it make you feel better?
The oxygen, yes, because over the days being given oxygen, I could feel that on my 5th day, I could get up, I could start to walk.
But it wasn't just the oxygen mask and needles that took a toll on her. Being the youngest in the COVID ward was an eye-opener.
I've decided to make a video, not to fearmonger anyone, but more to spread a message of awareness because it was in the festive season.
Today's my first day that I'm walking out of the ward. They've taken me off from the oxygen, laying in bed. My heart rate was 112. I'm still currently on drips.
You could actually see that I grasped for air.
People die around me every single day. And I've created insomnia that I don't even want to go and sleep in fear that I may never wake up again. So I urge everybody to please take precautions.
After about 10 days, Davids was discharged from hospital. Despite her breathing having improved, she says she had not fully recovered.
After 5 days of being at home, a friend of mine said, Kotha, I know you're suffering from post-viral syndrome. I have ivermectin, can I please come drop it by you? He wasn't scared at all. He came into my room, he hugged me, and he said, take this. And he shot ivermectin in my mouth. That's my first dose.
David says within 24 hours her symptoms had subsided. She says she took it for 3 consecutive days, and with every dose she made progress. She's been hooked on ivermectin since. She says she's not worried that the drug is for animals.
This is the needle that I use. I think it's about 18 millimeters. I would insert it into this little cork over here. And I just administer like this. So because it's a little bubble, I make sure the bubble is gone, and I just re-extract again. So I want one more.
Why is it important for you to get rid of the bubbles?
The bubble can allow to either squirt out more, or it irritates the measurement of how the stuff comes out.
David cares the controversy around the dosages of the animal formula when it is consumed by humans. She says it is taken according to a person's body weight, as indicated on this chart that she gave us.
So here goes again.
Need some water?
I do need something strong. But yeah, it makes your tongue a bit numb, but it's potent. It is.
David says since recovering from COVID, she's been administering ivermectin once a week to prevent infection. She says ivermectin is increasingly becoming a drug of choice around Cape Town.
Initially, ivermectin costs as low as 350 Rand for a 500 ml bottle and about 969 Rand for a 1 liter. But because of its demand, the prices can go up to 2,000, 2,500 Rand on a 500 ml bottle.
The South African Veterinary Association has confirmed that there is a demand for ivermectin. The association also says it has issued a warning that the product should not be used for human consumption. Other than a little nausea and a bit of diarrhea, David says she has not experienced any adverse effects from the drug. The Department of Health says there is no law that forbids human beings from using animal products. Although it is not a criminal offense to use the animal product, some say it has been stigmatized and therefore prefer not to be associated with it.
We off to a lady Nadia to go and drop some of this miracle treatment, ivermectin, for a patient. She will be coming out to the car to receive the treatment. I've got treatment for 2 patients. It will last 3 days. I'm kind of coming in.
Tony does regular drop-offs of ivermectin for free to people who have contracted the coronavirus. He believes it's his service to humanity.
All the hundreds of people that I've given this treatment to, all of them are doing much better now. They've made a full recovery.
Do you take it yourself?
Yes.
Were you at some point?
No, never.
Never.
I took it as a prophylactic.
Before he hands over the drug, he takes care of the dosages.
We have our 6 more. So this is basically for a patient that's 100 kgs. There is, this is going to last for 3 days. So they take 2 mils every 24 hours. So it's 1 day, 2 days, 3 days.
And they should be fine after that.
They will be fine. So here you administer 2 mils right now, and in another 24 hours, you'll administer another 2 mils, and then the day after that, the third day, the remaining 2 mils that's left in here.
Here's your baby. Right? What do you want? You want a food? You want to eat?
Harun Hanif breeds exotic birds that he exports overseas. He says he gives them ivermectin regularly to keep them healthy.
Ivermectin I know for quite a very long time. Between 15, 20, 25 years. Because we're using this for the horses for deworming and detoxing. It's very good.
He says he recently discovered that he could use the drug to protect himself from the coronavirus.
But before I'm going to give it to them, I'm going to take a few sips.
What's in there besides the ivermectin?
Besides the ivermectin in here, there's a wild garlic, groene amara, black molasses, and aloe is in here.
And they help with what?
They help with any sickness.
Although ivermectin is not a registered medicine for COVID-19 in South Africa, early this year, several stakeholders filed a case against the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority, SAPRA, for not authorizing the use of the drug. The Pretoria High Court ruled that the drug should be used at the professional discretion of medical practitioners. Elapin Rapiti, a Cape Town-based doctor, prescribes ivermectin to his patients. As required by SAPRA, he applied for permission.
We need to remind society that at this time, when there is no drug to save humanity, the Helsinki Declaration gives doctors the right to use anything in their power that will save their lives. And I chose that option.
Dr. Rapiti prescribes the tablet formula, which he sources from an overseas supplier.
What I do know about ivermectin, what I like about it, it's effective, it's very safe, it's very cheap, and doesn't have many side effects.
He holds a different view from doctors who say the drug causes liver failure. According to the World Economic Forum, this is how the coronavirus affects the body.
And in that process, you also get the spike protein clotting the blood circulation. So when you get acute damage to the lungs, it can damage all the organs due to respiratory failure. So I fail to understand when you got severe lung failure, how they can blame ivermectin for causing liver failure, because the most likely cause is that it was the respiratory failure that caused multiple lung damage.
He concedes, however, that ivermectin is not foolproof in the case of COVID pneumonia. He says patients who seek help at the onset of infection stand a greater chance of responding to treatment. He explains why some people take the animal formula.
They actually discovered it also worked for worms, that it works in human beings, it works for animals. It's not an animal product. It was designed initially for human beings. And then they found there's a commonality. They have also worms, the animals, so they use it on animals.
In Pretoria, in the Gauteng province, Angelique Cotier is a medical doctor and the chairperson of the South African Medical Association. Although she doesn't personally prescribe the drug to her patients, she says the association does not dictate what doctors should do. However, those who have opted to use the drug have to get permission from SAPRA.
The reason for that is because SAPRA still need some data. They want to collect the data so that we can figure out what dosage of ivermectin in what phase of the disease is the most appropriate and will add value.
She laments, however, that there are doctors working undercover.
What we have heard is that, unfortunately, there are doctors prescribing ivermectin without going through the SAPRA process. The problem is, if it's not the right process, I think going forward, if the patient then turns back and says to the doctor, you prescribed ivermectin to me, I got severe disease, I ended up in hospital, you said that it was working, it's going to be very difficult for the doctor to defend himself.
Some social media posts indicate that some people have reacted negatively to the drug. Dr. Kutsie says she has also observed malpractice from pharmacies.
They will give to each and every patient a copy of this. There's a lot of vitamins that you take. It's vitamin C, vitamin D, it's zinc. Then on top of it, it's ivermectin. So the question here arises, where do you get the ivermectin? So if the pharmacists give you this, where do you as a patient get it? Do you get it at the pharmacy there? What do you get? Where do you get this medication from?
If they give it to you at the pharmacy?
Well, still, ivermectin, it's because of SAPRA, because it's a Section 21, it still needs to be having a medical doctor prescription.
She says these pharmacies are preying on the desperation of patients.
If you look at the cost of week 1 and week 2, we're looking at nearly 2,500 rand easily out of your pocket, because the medical scheme is not going to pay this. The prudent thing would be, if I diagnose the patient at the pharmacy level positive with COVID-19, please send them to their doctor. The doctor needs to evaluate the patient. The doctor needs to see what is happening with the oxygen levels, what is happening with the pulse rate, what is the blood pressure doing, what are the clinical symptoms and signs.
Early this year, police arrested several people who were found in possession of ivermectin. However, it seems as though some of the drug had already made its way into the hands of desperate users. 39-year-old Nombuso from Johannesburg contracted the coronavirus about 2 months ago.
If you're sick and desperate, you will take anything. My health and me feeling better was more important than anything at the time.
So, when a friend offered ivermectin, she gladly accepted it.
I took this one. This is the one that was given to me. I was taking 1 tablet a day for five consecutive days. On day 3, I felt almost human. And then I'm taking 1 tablet a week for the next 5 weeks. I just got this tray. This is how the tray came. It didn't come in any packaging. I was already going downhill, so whatever gamble I was about to take meant nothing. I know that people are selling this tray for anything between 100 and 400 rand on the market. This box here, I got a connection through somebody who told me that they know somebody who's selling, and it has a box of 100 tablets, and it was 850. I bought more than just 1 box. I bought maybe 5 boxes.
You don't know whether it's a counterfeit product. And again, if you as the public buy this from the black market or from your vet or whoever, except from your GP on a prescription, you cannot hold the GP liable for any side effects or any adverse reactions if you have used it on your own.
After the positive outcome brought about by ivermectin, Kotha Davids became an activist. In April, she held a protest in Cape Town.
I want it freely given off to our middle class people, our people that can't afford. I want it to be given freely in hospitals, freely in clinics for the people that can't have their hands on this drug.
She joins other activists like Balesa Mohammed from Durban. She's the founder of Transformative Health Justice, a health activism non-profit company. She recently started a campaign called Sahari, which stands for South Africa Has a Right to Ivermectin.
The objective, Zinhle, is to ensure that our people have easy access, not obstructive access where they have to go via an application form for a medicine or to have to go through a doctor for a script where most of our country can't even afford the costs of going to a private doctor.
Mohammed alleges that evidence from medical practitioners who prescribe ivermectin is ignored.
There is certainly a lot of misinformation and disinformation about ivermectin. We have to look at the clinical experience of doctors who are telling us it works.
She says controlling access to ivermectin is unconstitutional.
The right to live as a human being who can make an informed choice about your own health in collaboration with your doctor, not to have a bureaucracy decide what it is you need to do about your health.
In 2015, 2 scientists were awarded the Nobel Prize for discovering that ivermectin could be modified to kill parasites in both humans and animals. Ivermectin is used in parts of the world to treat river blindness in humans. Mohammed questions why the drug cannot be repurposed for the coronavirus.
Doctors are victimized to a large extent. There are raging debates that go on in the various doctors' groups, those that do not want to think about repurposed medicine. So that's a thing in medicine. You can repurpose a medicine for another need. It's always existed. Somehow when it comes to coronavirus, no one's interested in repurposed medicine. It's only novel treatments that are going to bankrupt various countries.
As the ivermectin debate rages on, the situation is no different across our shores. We met Angel Vance from America, who was on holiday in Cape Town with her children. Vance has been a nurse for 21 years.
In the States, I believe there's also debate surrounding drugs like ivermectin as well as hydroxychloroquine, drugs that have been around for many, many years now. The only thing that makes something for animals is just that it's either patented or it's used in that capacity for animals. It may you may need to look at different dosages. You may need to look at different safe for human consumption. We're in unprecedented times now, and with COVID having such an impact on all of our countries, it calls for us to do some things, whether it's at least start testing, start doing some trials, and looking at, if we have something that has the possibility to help save lives, I think that we should look into it.
What's the word on the streets concerning ivermectin?
It should be regulated, and that the government shouldn't just freely allow people to use it without there being adequate scientific research, as it could have more adverse complications.
Abantu abamnyama siyastima senzani kunezinto esizisebenzisako thina ezisinceda ukuthi iCovid ingaphumi sibamba.
Since sazi amapilisi before kuba nepilisi la testa ngeyilwane before bazosebenzisa ngani ngomuntu. But for now, I can't guarantee that thing will need to work.
They're refusing the cultural leaders and the cultural doctors to deal with this issue of corona.
Maybe I have a testimony of someone having used it and she or he tells me that it worked for him or her, then I think I might consider using it.
I don't know of people who are selling the liquid form and the tablet form, but I haven't tried it.
Diverse as our views may be on ivermectin, we are, however, united in the urgency to find a lasting treatment, if not a cure, for the virus.